Resource Fair, RiverBender.com, Roku TV. It's our daily show on this Saturday afternoon until 4 p.m. You can stop by the Alton YWCA, come through the George Street entrance right by the playground, through the gymnasium, and you can learn so much about some great community organizations and the resources that are available to you. Joining us now is Andrea from Amare, and Amare's been such a great community partner for so many years now. Andrea, what's your role there?
I am a peer-led recovery coach.
And now take me through your role at Amare. What's it like?
Some days are a little hectic, but, we are peer-led. We have a peer caseload, and we do a variety of free services, not limited to, but including, helping, people get off the streets, getting them to detox or treatment, sober living, housing, help them when they come out to, get an ID or get a birth certificate or a social security card. If we have it available, help them with funding for sober living. Sometimes, we help them with transportation, bus passes. If they have open court cases or DCFS cases and they're actively working with us, we will go to court and advocate for them.
Wow.
We try to, make sure they get to like their mental health and their physical health appointments, just try to get them back on track. They don't have to be clean for us to work with them. We try to meet people where they're at. I mean, the goal is abstinence,
right.
But, just help them, be able to be a productive member of society and try to get their life back on track.
Well, and it seems like, and this is just from my conversations that I've had with like RFM and RiverBend Family Ministries, which you guys are in that building,
yes.
Correct? It seems like it's all, and it had them with Centerstone too, that it doesn't matter. It's not a one-size-fits-all,
right.
Issue. There's,
yes.
I could only imagine the diverse and all different walks of life that you guys encounter.
Yeah, and we try to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
It's not like a cookie-cutter shape, like, this is what it has to be,
well, it can be.
Right, or it can be. So, we just try to meet them where they're at, and, recovery looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and what's it like, when you're on that journey with, an individual, take me through whenever they first start that process, which is the biggest step to do is to say, I need help and let's start really working on something. Take me through day one to, it could be 6 months from now, it could be a year from now, or the recovery time is different for everybody in that process. What's it like to see that come to a conclusion, if you will?
It's amazing. Every month we always get asked, like, do we have a success story? And I do have one for this month, of course, no names, but, I had a peer who was living under a bridge, and he had been in several times and just came in just completely broken and defeated, and was at rock bottom, and he said, I'm ready. So we called, and we got him into detox the next day. And, we just pray that they'll make it till the next day to come back, and then they come back, and then we take them to, detox, and then we get them into treatment. And then afterwards, he calls me the whole time he's in there, and we get him into sober living. And I picked him up and took him to sober living, and he's called me every day since then. And we have him sign up to go like on a sober event, like a huge sober NA float trip next weekend, and just thriving. And like, man,
that's what it's all about.
When I picked him up, I just had tears in my eyes because, some make it and some don't. We do as much as we possibly can for them, but at the end of the day, if they're not ready, then.
Right, and that's something I'm sure it's tough to balance and manage too for your own, mental health, because I'm sure you're right there with them, living it step by step, because you're a part of that journey with them.
Yeah.
Well, and what do you hope the public knows knows the most about, some of the people that you serve and some of the clients that you guys have at Amare? What would you hope the public knows most about, your services, your mission, if you will?
All our services are free. They're completely free. A lot of people, don't know that there's help. A lot of people think that they have to be clean for us to help them, and like that's not true. We will meet them wherever they are. And even if they get clean and they, fall, call us. We're still going to help you.
Right.
We're going to get you to where, you can have a quality of life and, be a productive member of society. So there is hope. no matter what your situation is.
And I think the more we talk about it, Andrea, too, the more that, because it doesn't matter if it's you or yourself, just from talking with Centerstone twice a month, whether it's your best friend or your, cousin or your relative, whoever, it's good to know this information ahead of time,
Right.
That way you aren't spending a couple of days trying to gather where do we go next.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can they can call, our office. We have a main line. It's 618-331-5905, or you can just come into our office. It's at 144 East Ferguson Avenue in Wood River, and just ring our doorbell.
Right.
And we'll help you. Next door is RiverBend Ministry. We're in the same building. They have a drop-in center Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can come in, get a snack. You can take a shower, do your laundry. A lot of people come in there, and then they come over, ask for more help, and then they'll come get us, and we just work together to try to get as many people as we can off the street. And
how many families or individuals do you think that you guys work with every month?
We have a pretty big caseload. It's peer led. They're called peers, but a lot, and then sometimes they disappear for a while and they come back, and we're waiting for you to come back.
That's really good. Well, and you guys have an event coming up on September the 20th, Rockin for Recovery, which has been going on for quite a long time now.
It's an annual event.
Now, take me through the sights and sounds. What can we expect this year?
Okay, so Rockin for Recovery is our annual event. It's September 20th. This year, it's from 1 to 6 p.m. It's at Bethalto Central Park. If you want to be a part of it, if you want to get the resource tables are free, you would just email A. Kistler at AmareNFP.org and just tell her you want a table for Rockin for Recovery. But on top of all of the resource tables, we will have 2 bands. We will have 2 food trucks, a dessert truck. We will have face painting and a bounce house for kids. We will have a photo booth. We will have like a live 360 video. And then it's just, it reaches a lot of people.
That's really cool.
Always, a couple hundred people. So.
And what's the meaning behind Rockin for Recovery?
Just to show that, you can have fun and be a part of something that's bigger than us, and be clean. A lot of people don't know how to have fun being clean, and, you can.
Absolutely.
So it's a free event. Come out September 20th, Bethalto Central Park.
Absolutely. And, before we take a quick break, you're going to be here until 4 o'clock with the rest of the vendors. What do you hope that folks gather whenever they come through your vending booth in the next few hours?
Just a smile. Like, I'm always positive. I have went and talked to every single vendor here.
Have you?
They all have a flyer. I've known some of them from a few other events, but just come by. This is a free event, and just, meet some people. There's some things here that, I don't think the community or Madison County realizes how many resources there actually are.
Yeah.
And when you come to something like this, you're like,
right.
You just get some new information.
Well, and I've said before, on the show that we host 9 to 11 in the morning, which is more of the news and interview-based show, but it's like, if only we could find a couple 100,000 just to promote everybody, because you're right, there's so many resources right here, and the Mental Health Board does a really good job, and all those different groups. And then to learn, too, I learned the other day that with the 988 number, there was 11,000 calls so far this year. Almost 4,500 calls came from Madison County.
Yes.
That to me is just remarkable, and all the wrong reasons, and shows the need for organizations like your guys's and multiples that are here today.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So
it's nice talking with you, and best of luck at Amare.
Nice talking to you too.
We'll come back with more of our daily show right after this from Centerstone's Resource Fair at the Alton YWCA on RiverBender.com and Roku TV next.